What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be showcasing what I think is clearly a new best in slot weapon that you absolutely want to get your hands on, but frankly, a lot of people are overlooking it, and so let's get started. Now, the weapon in question is going to be the Wild Style Legendary Grenade Launcher dropping from Nightfalls. You have about 2 days left to get yours, and frankly, it's completely understandable people are overlooking this weapon. I mean, Act 2 of Episode 1 Echoes just launched this week, so we have a bunch of shiny new loot people are going after, and also, this is not a new weapon. It was actually introduced as a Nightfall weapon last season. And when it was introduced, it was frankly just okay, so it's totally understandable again why people saw this and said, I'm not grinding for it. However, it turns out that Bungie completely overhauled this weapon's perk pool just this season. So it's basically an all new gun, and the new God Rolls it can get, again, are literal best in slot. So let's take a look at the Wild Style. First of all, it's incredibly unique. It actually belongs to the double fire grenade launcher archetype, where every time you press the trigger, it'll use up 1 round of ammunition, but 2 actual projectiles will fly out of the barrel. Now that means if you hit a singular target with both of these projectiles, you do around 30% more damage than you would with a normal breech-loaded grenade launcher shooting 1 single projectile. Alright, so already you got better damage output. Not to mention, literal 2 projectiles means that you're twice as likely to hit enemies, technically. And also, this is now the first special breech-loaded grenade launcher in the entire game that can get the perk Reconstruction, where this weapon slowly reloads itself over time up to double capacity. Guys, Reconstruction is one of the best PvE perks in the entire game, and any weapon that can get Reconstruction, you need to pay attention to. I mean, seriously, the first time rocket launchers could suddenly get Reconstruction, like the Apex Predator, everyone was freaking out and they became the new best rocket launchers in the entire game. Reconstruction, the combination of auto-loading plus doubling the magazine, it is so good. And the fact that this can get it makes it unbelievably powerful. So I think you want Reconstruction on your Wild Style 100%. However, there's actually 2 different God Rolls that involve Reconstruction. The first one is more niche in my opinion, but it's the DPS roll. So you can actually get, first of all, spike grenades to increase the damage, combined with Reconstruction obviously, and then bait and switch for a massive boost to damage. Now, what are you doing with this roll? Well, like I said, because it's a double fire grenade launcher, you actually smack with it, especially with spike grenades. So if you're doing a DPS rotation, like just for a random example, you know, I shoot my Izanagi's Burden, quickly swap to my rocket launcher for 2 Reconstruction rounds, and then I quickly pop over to my Wild Style for 2 more grenade launcher rounds before going back to my Izanagi. So basically it's just like I can now incorporate 2 cheeky extra shots from a grenade launcher and actually do a really good chunk of damage if I'm already rotating through my weapons for DPS. Again, this is a lot more niche, but it is a powerful role that you may want to go for. However, the other God Roll is the one I think literally everyone should try to get their hands on, because this is now the new best blinding grenade launcher in the entire game of Destiny 2. Now, why is that? Well, let's just take a look at a normal, amazing blinding grenade launcher. I have the Empty Vessel here, which is actually another solar breech-loaded grenade launcher, right? And it has the role of blinding grenades, or disoriented grenades as they're called now, plus auto-loading holster, and then just Vorpal weapon. Again, this is an extremely good blinding grenade launcher, and most of the time you want your blinding grenade launchers with auto-loading. Now, why is that? It's just how you use blinding grenade launchers, right? You whip it out, you shoot a shot, blind everything in front of you, and then as they're blinded, you switch to different weapons in order to damage them while they're not shooting you back. That's just like the best overall gameplay loop of blinding grenade launchers. So again, if auto-loading holster is like a god tier perk with blinding grenade launchers, then surely Reconstruction, which is a better auto-loading holster, it is doubling the mag auto-loading holster, is just now going to be the new best in slot, right? And that's exactly what you get. Compare what you saw with normal empty vessel gameplay. You know, I shoot the one round, there's always some enemies who aren't blinded. Now, I use the wild style to blind in this same scenario, I get 2 shots. And so I can blind one side of the room, quickly look over, get another shot off, and blind the other side of the room. Like, it just lets you shoot, and blind way more enemies than you otherwise would. Because remember, it is a double fire grenade launcher. So yes, it's twice the shots, but it's quadruple the projectiles. That's something that's also super important with a blinding grenade launcher. The 2 different projectiles are literally like 2 different disorienting grenades. They don't have a smaller radius or anything like that from what I tested. So you have scenarios like you're seeing in the background gameplay where a projectile will hit an ad and then the other one will keep going. So one will blow up, blind a certain amount of enemies here, and the other one will keep going, bounce, and maybe hit more enemies. Now, they fire close together, so this doesn't always happen. Often, they explode relatively close together, but just the fact that you have this additional benefit, that you have this chance for the projectiles to, you know, bounce off different surfaces and go different directions and cover way bigger of an area when it comes to blinding is just an advantage you can't ignore because it's a pure advantage. It's just straight up better. There's no downside here when it comes to having 2 projectiles with a blinding grenade launcher. And so when you're going for the blinding God Roll, which again, everyone should try to get. You do not need the Adept version, by the way. The normal version is totally fine for this, but you need those disorienting grenades, and then you need Reconstruction, and then that's actually kind of about it. If you have those 2 different perks, you have the new best blinding grenade launcher in the game, in my opinion. Like, Reconstruction is so much better than autoloading. I think just with those 2 perks, it almost does not matter when what you get in the last column because you're already better than any blinding grenade launcher in the game because you have the 4 projectiles, you have the 2 rounds, all right? So that's already insane. But if you are going for the literal God Roll, I would recommend either Vorpal Weapon, which is what I have here, or Incandescent. Now, why is that? Well, it's simply because of that gameplay loop, right? You're going to swap to the wild style, get your blinding grenades off, and then swap off of it while it reloads while stowed, right? So something like One For All, for like this can get One For All. Yeah, One For All is actually pretty good and honestly pretty easy to trigger with the wild style, but it's going to be stowed away. It's not like you're slaying out with this thing, you know, as your primary weapon quite a lot. Both Vorpal Weapon and Incandescent, they don't require any setup. If you shoot a target like a champion, you know, directly to get a little chunk of damage in or whatever, Vorpal Weapon triggers automatically. There's no setup. And the same goes for Incandescent. If you happen to hit one of the projectiles on a red bar, it blows up. Guess what? Incandescent is going to trigger and it's going to scorch nearby enemies. Now, using this same logic, there is a bit of an argument for Surrounded. You just need to be near enemies, doesn't require a ton of setup, and you may be saying, well, if I'm switching weapons all the time, I may want bait and switch for this role as well, and I can see that too. Again, I really don't think you have to overthink what you want in the right column. Literally anything doesn't matter because it's already best in slot, but I just believe that Vorpal and Incandescent, you don't have to think about them. They're just going to randomly give you benefits every once in a while for using this like a normal blinding grenade launcher. However, keep in mind, you can actually get spike grenades and disorienting grenades on the same roll, so you can actually have 2 God Rolls in one, really. I mean, especially with Vorpal Weapon, just switch to spike whenever you want it to do more damage. Like, you really have a fantastic package there. Guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.